Knights at the Round Table, a round-table discussion on speculative fiction books and film. Hi everybody, welcome to the next episode of Knights at the Round Table. Today we are discussing the 2012 adaptation of John Carter of Mars is the name of the book, I think, by Edgar.
The series is called John Carter of Mars. The original book was A Princess of Mars.
A Princess of Mars, you're right, yeah. By Edgar Rice Burroughs. And I'm here at the table with my friends Bill and Eric, and I'd like to start with general impressions of the film. Eric, you get to go first.
It was very pretty,
mm-hmm.
and it had one of my favorite villains, like actors, not
mm-hmm.
necessarily character, and it was pretty. He was pretty.
Yeah, I guess. But he was such an ass that it didn't really matter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... I wanted to love this movie just as much as I wanted to love the book when I read it. There's... yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. Bill?
I enjoyed the movie, but I tend to enjoy these types of movies, so... But, you know, as far as being a favorite movie, probably not up there. I do put it on from time to time, just in the background when I'm doing stuff at my model table.
Yeah. This movie was a movie. I'm trying to figure out. I didn't hate it exactly, but I normally enjoy this kind of movie too. I'm really big on like action adventure kind of films. I love them.
And it had a very strong space opera vibe to it.
It did, but I don't know. There's just something about it I didn't quite like. I'm not going to add it to my list. It's not going on my shelf, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. It is historically the largest box office bomb for Disney.
Is it now?
Yeah. The budget was $500 million, and I think it made a quarter of that domestically.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think the trailer did it any justice.
Oh, the trailers were terrible.
Yeah.
But
I remember watching the trailers being like, no, I don't think so.
And especially when did Avatar come out? Roughly around the same time, I think.
Yeah, around the same time, you're right.
There's a huge influx of sci-fi. The Star Wars prequels had just finished, and it was another okay sci-fi in a series of okay sci-fis with nothing special to it. Unless you were a massive fan of the book, and I'm not sure there's, fan boys of Edgar Rice Burroughs.
No, not in this day and age, anyway.
Yeah. I like that they
vampires, maybe.
frame the narrative with the author as if,
yeah.
it was a real thing.
Yes.
That was cute.
That was good.
Jinx. You owe me a beer.
Mm-hmm.
Or a rum. Actually, I don't do beer.
And I haven't read the entire series, so I don't know if the world suckers, the techno mages people are in the rest of it, but they weren't in the first book.
No, this
at all.
If you looked at it, it sort of this particular book was like Barsoom number 11 or something. It was kind of weird.
Because a lot of that
to
happened in this book was in the first book, but the ending was different.
Yeah.
In this movie, you mean, was in the first book?
Yes, sorry. A lot of what was in the first book was in this movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there was bits and pieces that weren't.
And I think the next book would focus on his return.
Yeah.
Because at least that's what I gathered from it. So
that makes sense.
But there was some stuff that led up to this book as well, so it's weird.
Yeah, I read the book, and I thought, oh, well, I should read the rest, but I never really got... It doesn't suck me in.
Yeah, I've not read the book, so I don't know how this movie compares to the book. Chances are the book is better, because in almost every case the book is better. Yeah.
Well, it depends. I mean, the female characters in this book were better. In the movie were better.
Yeah. Oh, thank.
Got her to think about the time frame when this was written was like the 1912 time frame, and so forth. And
1912, and it showed its age.
Yeah,
it did not age very well.
And I don't think they translated into the movie as well either. They could have done better, I think.
I mean,
could have, but...
when you first meet your anti-hero,
Oh God.
Oh, he's a Confederate.
Yes.
Fan-fucking-tastic. Oh, look, it's white people versus First Nations. Fan-fucking-tastic. I don't like this guy at all.
Yeah.
And look, he goes back and he saves, like, the general, even though those people deserve to be beheaded. They fired the first shot. They started the war. If anything, he should go back and help the Apache. Like, fuck you all. Oh, that made me angry.
Especially given that he had sworn off any sort of warfare. Why save anybody?
Why save anybody, right? Just take off.
Why did he save Walter White?
Yeah, well, because the idea is you're supposed to show that actually he does care somehow deep down, but he cares the wrong way.
Yeah. And the reason he didn't care bugs me. I can see seeing the horrors of war and that turning you off, but no, he doesn't care about the horrors of war. His wife was killed while he was away by someone, and that made him not want to fight.
Yeah.
Anything. Yeah, no, yes. Yay, fridging!
That was from the books.
Yeah, well, yeah, but still. If you're going to change some stuff, change that.
Yeah. They could have done a lot with the book if they had done a loose interpretation.
Yeah.
They've had the rights to this since the 30s. Like, it was one of the first sets of rights that Walt Disney himself bought.
Really?
But they made a really bad movie in the 40s or 50s, maybe 60s. I don't know. And then they kept renewing the rights over and over again until this. And
Lord, may that happen to me.
That people keep buying
That
rights after you're dead, so your descendants get money.
Well, yeah, so that my estate keeps getting money. Like,
Yeah, so they really didn't reimagine this thing.
Not enough.
Not enough. Yeah.
Yeah, there were elements of the book that you could recognize in the movie. They probably could have done a lot better with it.
I mean, but this movie was, I guess, like fit person pornish. I guess like lots of toplessness and showing of skin of really fit people.
I already said space opera.
I mean, it was nice to look at, I guess, but there was no substance there, really. And like one of the things that I hate the most is when you get an anti-hero and then somebody tries to appeal to their better nature when the whole movie they've been nothing but a selfish ass. Listen, if they show you what they're like, believe them the first time. You can't make an appeal to a better nature if the person has demonstrated no better nature. It drives me up the wall. I get power of boners, I guess, that it worked, but...
I don't think he was supposed to be an anti-hero. I think he was supposed to be a rogue with the heart of gold type of person, you know?
But they didn't demonstrate that. He was just some dude that was a prick.
Yes. But he wasn't a homicidal prick most of the time.
Which
made him better
all of those... What, were they targs?
I don't know. Oh, the colonialism. Even in the
movie. Oh my god, yes. Yes.
I was like, I hope they don't do it. Oh, they did.
They did. They did.
Passing judgment on an entire different race and culture.
Yeah.
And then glorifying the standard American.
Yeah, I'm so tired of the
not American. It was the British.
Colonial.
Your father was this, so you're showing the blood of your father.
Yeah. But that's a terrible trope. That's in all fiction.
Yeah, I know, but they specifically had a culture that went against that, and
yeah, that's true. I also have to say, I am so done with the white boy saves the natives trope. So done with it.
Yeah, they were actually whiter than they described in the books. Like the Barsunians, the
red
humans.
The red people?
Yeah, they were actually more native described in the books from what I remember.
Yeah, they weren't human.
Well, they were human.
They weren't human form. Yeah.
They were human enough that it wasn't weird to have him want to bone them.
True.
Power burners, yo!
But they were dark-skinned. I think the word exotic might have been used a few times in the book.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
It's just...
Well, yeah, because here they all looked like they had mild sunburns.
Yeah.
And tattooed up.
I liked the tattoos.
The tattoos were cool.
The tattoos were cool.
Not in the book.
Also, I didn't know that James Purefoy was in this film. So he shows up on screen and I'm like, James Purefoy?
Who's that?
He played the general that served the princess.
Okay.
Yeah, the nice one.
Mm.
Who was also a bit of a dolt for some reason.
Weren't they all?
I mean, yes, but...
Yeah. And, of course, the surprise actor, William Dafoe.
Oh, yeah, William Dafoe. With an accent, apparently. Yeah, apparently he was in it.
He played the...
Targ Chieftain, right?
Yeah.
Huh.
You know, my
Okay.
right arms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was William Dafoe. Hmm.
Yeah, the voice
Okay.
actor. And it was voiced anyway, so...
One...
I see where the villain, the pale dude,
Yes.
got typecast as the villain from then on. Because he's the villain in Shazam.
Yes.
He was in Kingsman. He's
Yes.
been the villain in a whole bunch
He's been
of
a
other
villain
stuff.
in a whole bunch of stuff, that's true.
He's British. He's bald. And
Is
he
he naturally
smirks a
bald?
lot. I don't know. He is in most of his shows.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I've seen him a lot. I can't remember his name now, it draws a blank. But yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff.
He was one of my favorite
almost always the
characters in
villain.
Kingsman. Not a villain. He was Merlin in Kingsman.
Oh, you're right! Which was the cat? I still need to watch the new one. Sorry, I keep quoting Pirates of Penzance.
we need a compilation of you saying that.
It was the cat!
You're right. It was the cat. The cat.
They're taking the Hobbit's eyes. Guard.
The tech was pretty.
It was very pretty, and I liked that they sailed on light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That made me happy.
And I liked that they tried to give the magic ninth dimension, ninth power,
The
whatever,
ninth
whatever
ray.
you want to call it. That's sort of like a science-y feel, but without actually boring us with the science. And-
Yes. I liked that the princess was intelligent.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
thankfully she was a scientist in this and not
Yeah.
just a princess.
Was she just a princess?
She was just a princess.
Just Princess in the book.
Yeah, she was a scientist in
Come
this
on, she was
version.
an Indian princess, basically.
Yes, yeah, I'm like, yeah, okay. Which maybe is the way that played back out in the books is that, like, John Carter was a giant racist before he went to Mars. Is that because now I can envision that arc where he's a giant racist, goes to Mars, meet people who look like the indigenous Americans, and suddenly redeems.
Not really,
Not that you can remember?
Don't remember.
He was always sort of a...
Dick.
He was a dick, but in the books it felt like he hated all the white people.
He hated people.
He hated people in general, but he didn't have any... He sort of respected the wise native cultures type thing.
Okay.
You know, the
that trope.
mystical natives type
Yeah.
thing. But other than that, there was nothing about respecting or
Yeah.
racism.
Okay.
Well, except for the racism. in
Except for
the
the
book.
racism in the book, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to say, the toad puppy was the best thing about this movie.
Also,
Well,
one of the best things about the book.
It was in the
Yeah.
book.
Oh,
I
it was
loved,
definitely in the
I
book.
loved that toad puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Willa.
That's the name, Willa?
Willa. That was actually kind of funny. Is that a friend of mine after seeing that, he thought that was the best character in the whole movie.
Oh yeah,
Was
yeah.
Willa.
yeah,
Yeah. I see
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Super fast, lazy snoring like toad thing. It was adorable.
This felt like an adaptation that was of a book or movie that was very shallow,
Yes.
but had none of the nostalgia to go with it. So like,
Like this, its saving grace would be nostalgia. It didn't even have that. Is that
yeah,
what you mean?
that's what
Yeah.
it feels like. I'm trying to think of a good example, but like, no, it just meh. The music was okay. The direction was okay. The sets were pretty.
You're right. The music was okay. None of it really stood out. Normally, I
Nothing
noticed the
stood out.
music.
Nothing.
Yeah, it was.
The
Being
villains were
beautiful.
really cool until they were not.
What was the turning point for you? When were they not?
Well, they were really cool to start with when they were like this all-powerful force, but near the end they sort of became killable with like obviousness. Oh, I turned myself into someone else. Ah, they can tell. You know, it's just
Oh, at the end there.
yeah.
with
At the end, the fight was sort of
I mean, the only reason why they could tell was because there were two of them.
why would he do that? He can turn into absolutely anybody he's ever seen. Why would he turn into him? Why not turn into soldier number 4?
Because the chieftain wouldn't hand over that amulet to anyone. I understood the reason for it.
Yeah, but he changed it. But he changed into John Carter. He changed into Deja.
It felt more of a look at our special effects and less of a shapeshifter trying to escape.
Yeah.
He didn't need it at that point. He could have hidden for a year or 2 and then come back for the amulet.
Yeah,
when nobody cared.
I have to say, I do like the way John Carter got about getting an amulet so that he could go back. That was clever.
That was clever.
I enjoyed that. That was clever.
Yeah, I don't know if that was in the books, but it was.
I don't know if it was or not. It might be in the second book, maybe.
Maybe. I'm probably not going to find out.
Yeah, I probably won't either. I've got it at home. It's been sitting on my shelf. It's still sitting on my Goodreads as a book I haven't finished.
Oh, here's a question.
Yeah, I think I've got it in the bookshelf somewhere.
So a facsimile of John Carter is sent to Mars, is the whole idea. Well, John Carter's body, another John Carter, remains behind. Would he have not starved to death? Like, his body lying in the cave was lying there long enough that the dude who got shot in the belly was a skeleton when he woke up. Flesh gone, everything. Would he not have starved to death? Would some coyotes not have found him? Like... And that's not the other problem I have with him now that he's in the mausoleum. Would he starve to death?
Well, the books actually, I think with the books he was actually transported too. It wasn't a...
Yeah, in the first book it felt like he was just transported. Like he got knocked out and then woke up on Mars.
Yeah.
There's no magic.
So there's nothing in the books to explain it. So,
but the facsimile thing bothers me for other things because they're like, if you die as a facsimile, your body dies. I'm like, why?
Yeah,
why can't you just send another facsimile? Does that mean that those white dudes are sending facsimiles of themselves all over the place?
Yeah.
And that they have a world?
But I didn't get that impression either, though.
No, it felt like they just sort of existed in the 9th dimension.
It doesn't make sense at all.
Big hole.
Yeah.
Because, someone could have found him and tried to kill him. Something could have eaten him.
Right. He had no sustenance.
He had no food.
No water. That'll kill you faster.
Water.
Yeah. You know, and
it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it was too large of a plot hole for a movie of this caliber to carry. There are plenty of films that have similar plot holes that I'm just going to go with it because the film is so good. This did not have that to fall back on.
Why does it matter? Is what I'm asking.
Why
did it happen? No, not you.
Oh.
Them. Why does it matter that it's a facsimile? Like, the movie would have been fine if it just transported him via wormhole.
Right?
Yeah. There was no reason for them to have that line.
Yeah. There was no reason for it to be a facsimile.
Yeah. Science fiction, fantasy, and especially space opera. Don't overcomplicate.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Kiss.
Jinx! Now you owe me a drink! Ha ha ha! 2 drinks!
I should have brought it. I was better bring rum and coke.
I think I still
Is
have
it still
some
up
rum
there?
stored in it. It's been a while since I've had a rum.
We diverge.
But I digress.
Yeah, the budget and the creative people behind this should have done better.
Yeah, it should have been better.
You needed better storytellers.
Yeah. As usually is the case. It's the writing that lets it down. Doesn't get enough credit.
Yes, granted they were trying to base it on a book, but take the book and...
Yeah, there have been plenty of It didn't have to be Lord of the Rings, right? It didn't have to be a close adaptation.
But they still did the big battle at the end, which isn't in the book.
No.
And that was lacking for the kind of movie it was. I mean, the first battle in Jupiter Rising was more impressive.
I did appreciate that the Targs flew in.
Yes, that was really cute. Some of the humor was awesome.
Yeah.
But,
the humor was great.
Other than his jumping, his sword fighting was kind of meh, especially for a post-Lord of the Rings world.
Yeah, they could have done better on the fight choreography. Though I have to say, I did appreciate, as is so often not the case with these kind of things, he had the skills when he arrived. He wasn't taught the skills by the heroine and then surpassed them for some reason.
Yes.
Yeah. He had them when he arrived, so he didn't need the training. He didn't need to prove himself against her.
Yes.
Which was good. that's the way that should have been done.
Yeah.
They got that right. 'Cause-
Finally.
Yeah, because I really don't like it when some dweeb arrives somewhere and then is taken to train and becomes
Montage.
better
Comes
at...
the master.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Surpasses the master. I mean, no.
Mistress.
Well, mistress. Well,
Rarely surpasses the master.
Mm.
Master usually dies. Different trope.
unless
Master, yeah, master dies, and all of a sudden he's the master. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad they avoided that.
Yeah. I did like the one line. Maybe I should be getting behind you.
Yes! I did appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm going to sneeze. Now that I've said it, it's not going to happen. Nope, we're good.
Now that we stared it out of you.
I did like... Okay, so one of the things that I really liked about Sam Carter from Stargate is when she...
Just because her genital organs are on the inside. Sorry.
Yes, and then when that episode, when she went to say it, and then she's like, oh, no, that's so stupid. And then they did the same thing with the Princess Deja on this one, where she was trying to go through a speech, and then she stopped. She's like, what was it? If helium falls, so does Burroughs. And she went, no, seriously. But then John Carter says the exact same thing and pulls it off in his speech. But I did appreciate her, like, pacing back and forth, trying out different things in the speech, because I've done that. That was very relatable.
That was also a big problem with the movie. She was more interesting than he was.
How,
I wanted to know more about her science, her
Yeah.
story, her life, what she was doing. They would go from her and the council and be like, oh, they're not paying attention to me because I'm a girl. Or I'm a princess, and they're terrified. And then they go back to him, and I'm like, oh, great. He's bouncing around again. Go Mario.
fun. The wonderful thing about Tyrion is I'm the only one.
You okay? Yeah, he's pretty much
He was Tigger.
a
He was
more
a
depressed
grumpy
Tigger.
Tigger. He was grumpy cat Tigger.
I really wish they had done less of a my wife is dead and more of a I'm dealing with PTSD, because that could have
Yes.
actually been.
I could have gotten behind that because
Yeah.
PTSD is no laughing matter.
Yeah.
And it would make sense that he would never want to face that same situation ever again.
Especially if he had done something that he realized that was horrible.
Yeah, especially if he realized that he had been
As a
monstrous
Confederate
on the
soldier,
field. Yeah.
especially.
Yeah, especially,
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have done some terrible things.
I mean, terrible things happen on both sides in any war, but
Oh yeah, absolutely.
but I find it very difficult to feel sorry for a Confederate soldier. Sorry. I'm a monster. Also, love stories always make me yawn in this kind of thing.
Was it a love story? Really? It was more of a destined to be. They fall into each other's arms and boink.
Yeah, that's like every love story ever.
Mm.
Yawn.
There was no point where I was like, "Oh, isn't it cute? They're falling in love." It was always like, "Oh, yep, they're both extremely attractive and semi-naked."
Yeah.
We know where this is going.
It's
Yep.
just gonna happen.
Pretty
You know
much.
It is.
Pretty much. Yep.
I'm trying to remember in the book.
Oh, she just falls into his arms.
Does she? I was
Oh,
thinking,
yeah.
I can't remember.
But before they have a chance to consummate or kiss or really get into it, he gets thrown back to Earth.
Mm.
And then he spends time trying to get back.
Because power of boners.
In the book, it really felt like, wow, this sucks. All of America is terrible. I want to leave now. Versus Mars, pretty women. I'm strong and important. It felt like a power fantasy.
Yeah. But a lot of speculative fiction really is power
Yes.
fantasy stuff.
Yeah.
But it's usually less glaringly obvious.
Well, it's a 100-year-old book.
I mean, yes,
Yeah, but
but
they could've
the
updated the book.
adaptation was 2012.
It could have been.
I don't think they put enough thought into adapting the book.
No.
No, it doesn't sound. It doesn't feel like it.
Even to the point where it feels like they might have had different writers for different parts. Like, it makes me wonder if someone wrote the adaptation, and then they quit. Someone else came in and went,
I can't work with this.
someone else came in and were like, this is way too straight an adaptation. Let's add some cutesy parts at the beginning and the end.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to believe that the straight up narrative of the beginning, middle, and the fight at the end is the same as the person who came up with the mausoleum and the tricking the Watchers. I don't know. I'm going to call them the Watchers. They make me think of the pseudo villains from Fringe.
I've not watched Fringe. I've not watched The Watchers. Yeah.
But there's something like it in Highlander and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And
oh, yes.
they seem supernatural to start with, but turns out they're just men, and they watch and poke things so that it goes in their direction. The overseers.
Yeah.
And then we had the big white apes. The battles.
Oh yeah, they were blind. They look like many-armed mole rats almost.
The big Colosseum.
The big Colosseum fight, the two white.
Oh yes, the Colosseum fight that looked exactly like the Colosseum fight in Star Wars.
Yeah.
The prequels. I think they might have filmed the same Colosseum.
Probably not.
On location in Mars.
No, I would not be surprised if it's the same like set design and the same CGI rendering.
Really?
It was
They're
very similar. Very similar.
Had Disney acquired LucasArts at this point?
No, but LucasArts have always done the special effects for Disney.
Okay, well there you go.
Yeah, not surprising then, is it?
No. Yeah, everything about this movie felt recycled.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think if you're going to do an adaptation of an old property that doesn't have huge nostalgia, you need to bring something new.
Yes.
Something
you
different.
need to update it, or at least bring the sensibilities up to modern sensibilities.
Are you listening to me, Doc Savage people? Doc Savage is an action-adventure hero from the 1800s in books and comics, and it's being adapted into a movie starring The Rock. So, it could go either way.
It could go either way.
Depends on how much creative control he has.
Yeah.
Supposed to be like one of the inspirations for Superman and like comic book heroes. I haven't read the book.
Might be worth taking a look at.
Yeah.
The book, anyways.
Final thoughts and star rating, Bill.
I'll watch it again, but as I said at the beginning, it's something in the background.
Yeah.
So probably for that purpose, maybe 2.5.
I'm going to say 2.5. I won't put it on, but I won't turn it off if someone else does. If it's there, I'll lazily watch it or my phone while watching it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not my go-to bad space opera.
Okay, so for me, it's a 2. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen, but the most I can say about it is it's a movie. Also, the toad puppy was great.
I want a speed toad puppy.
I want a speed toad puppy. All right, who wants to pick the? Oh, I'm not even going to bother asking Eric. You're picking the next movie.
What I gotta know is why didn't they take 2 of those speed puppies, harness them up to a chariot, and then they're gonna go faster than the flyers?
Just darts.
All right. This is The Incredibles.
Oh, really? Yay!
I think that says Incredibles. It could it could say WC Red Edibles. I'm not sure, but I'm assuming it's.
I'm not sure where your mind was going with that one. Edibles.
Legal. All right, so in our next live stream, which will probably be a month from now, we will be reviewing The Incredibles. If you have any thoughts on John Carter, do leave them down in the comments below. On our Discord, if you're our Patreon, and on Facebook, on YouTube, if you're watching this after the fact and I've uploaded it.
You can make comments on Facebook, but that's up to you.
You can. Does anybody even properly use Facebook anymore? I just skim it. Anyway!
That's a subject for another time.
If you're on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we shall see you later. Bye!
Bye.